me answer this for her. There are no cabinet members that we just want to let go, if you want to put it in that expression. There are several cabinet members who would like to go back to their businesses and their homes and back home. And that's always the case, because in many instances it is a sacrifice and inconvenience to have to move your family to Montgomery away from your normal business. But that's about the only changes that we have in mind at the moment, although we've made no commitment, my wife and myself, either one, about any cabinet position, Jack. As far as I'm concerned, as to whether any governor will qualify or not will depend upon what he says at the time he seeks a nomination, if he seeks a nomination, and the platform of the parties. You can't say one thing and have a platform that says the other. And I think you're going to find that if one of these two parties doesn't do what I said last night, give us a clear choice, then we're going to be involved in 1968.
What's your prediction, Governor? Do you think either party will give you that clear choice?
I think that both parties are concerned about the growing opposition to centralized governmental control in our own country.
We are, as I said last night, very grateful to the people of Alabama. They gave us such a tremendous vote in the May primary and again in this general election. And we carried this campaign to the people, and they certainly endorsed the policies and programs of the Wallace administration in May, and they have done that again in the general election, and we're very grateful to them.
Well, the individual elections in states don't affect our movement, doesn't affect us at all. In fact, the whole tenor of the campaign throughout the nation is that people are tired of big government. I mean, regardless of what party affiliation you happen to be affiliated with, I think that's indicated very clearly. And you will find that in these states in which you're talking about individuals who are now behind that were ahead, their opponents were opposed to centralized governmental control and stood for states' rights. So you had two candidates in many states who stood for the same thing. So, as Mr. Nixon said in an interview with someone that appeared in one of the state newspapers some time ago, that this movement, although he said party, talked about in Alabama, could be the party of leverage. It could be the party of movement. So if this movement acts as a lever to bring one of the parties around to a more states' right and stable posture, then this movement will have meant something to the American people. But if they do not act upon the pry of the lever, then in 1968 we're going to give the people that opportunity.
There's been, of course, concern locally about food prices, but not as much discontent. The South, and especially Alabama, have not seen boycotts against supermarkets. Why do you think this is?
Well, Bob, we trade operating figures with supermarkets from all over the country, coast to coast, border to border. And generally speaking, supermarkets operate on from 1.5% to 2% less gross profit in the Southeast than they do any other part of the country. Not really. Supermarkets have always had budgeted in their operating costs promotional and stamp monies. Let's be real honest. The housewife likes to be wooed. She likes excitement where she does her shopping. Certainly, it has no higher or more bearing today than it did 1 year, 3 years, or even 5 years ago. Well, Bob, whether we like to face the fact or not, we are in a war economy. The Vietnam situation has created an all-out, an all-time high in our economy. For example, unemployment is at an all-time low, slightly over 3%, and it never at any time in the history of our economy, including World War II and the Korean situation, have we had such total employment.
Coach Posey, here before the season starts, how would you compare your squad for this year with that one of last year?
Well, Carl, we probably a good bit weaker on the backboards, but we think we have a lot of speed and really desire, so I would compare it favorably with last year, but we'll have to get that first test in order to see.
When do you get that first test?
Well, November 28th over in Hattiesburg, Mississippi against William Carey, and of course they spoiled our Hawk Day homecoming last year, and we'd very much like to entertain those boys over there the 28th of November.
Coach Posey, I know you always have several tournaments the Hawks participate in. What are some of them this year?
Well, Carl, we know we have several, and we hope for one more. We begin our tournament play in the Columbus Invitational Tournament the 16th and 17th of December during the holidays. And of course, the blue-gray tournament should be a real fine affair this year. We have two northern teams competing against Troy State and us, and that's the second tournament. And then the Huntington Invitational tournament is the invitational we always look forward to. And of course, we very much would like to be in the NAIA tournament at the end, of course, our record. But we must prove ourselves first here.
How many boys do you have returning from last year's team?
Well, we have 5, Carl, but only 1 regular. So we have a bunch of new boys, and we'll just have to start over. But we think they have talent and certainly desire, and we believe that hard work, dedication will make up for the difference.
How about you introducing us to all of your players for this year?
I'll be happy to, Carl. Gary Adams, Lanier High School, Montgomery, Alabama. Rush Aiken, Catholic High School, Montgomery, Alabama. Wendell Barr, Phoenix City. Bert Bozeman, Perry, Florida. John Bricken, Lanier High School, Montgomery, Alabama. Bill Dowdett, Pine Mountain, Georgia. Dan Garrett, Birmingham, Alabama. Ronnie Jackson, Evergreen, Alabama. Phil Johnson, Phoenix City. Lloyd Julian, Lanier High School, Montgomery, Alabama. Walter Lamb, Perry, Florida. Ira Mitchell, Trussville, Alabama. David Myrick, Lee High School, Montgomery, Alabama. Ricky Myrick, Lee High School, Montgomery, Alabama. Chuck Neiman, Corpus Christi, Texas. Terry McClendon, Atlanta, Georgia. Jack Peacock, Hamilton, Florida. Vic Stewart, Houston, Georgia. Frank Wright, Daytona Beach, Florida.
Well, Coach Posey, thanks for introducing the players to us, and best of luck to you and the Huntington Hawks this year.
Thank you.
Bob, at the present time, it's impossible for me to say. We are researching the point now as to the possibility of asking that the bids be advertised for pending the appeal. The Supreme Court would, of course, have to get the transcript. Briefs would have to be filed, and I'm sure that the case would be argued orally before the court. It's impossible for me to say how much it will delay it, but very definitely this appeal will delay the construction of the new high school.
Supreme Court will review this case.
I do not. I do not. The appeal has been filed, a notice of the appeal has been filed. The transcript has got to be prepared, briefs have got to be filed, and then the court's got to set it for hearing. I couldn't answer that question. I would say that even if it was decided after the first of the year, it would be impossible to have the school open for the next term.